What's up guys, FlamingVictini here, and we're back for another SPL game. This time we've got Tricking versus Eternal Spirit. Tricking is playing for the Scooters, and Eternal Spirit is up for the Tigers. Eternal Spirit's got a really interesting team. He's got Hoopa, which you don't see much nowadays, and a Gengar, both two very potent ball breakers that kind of take advantage of the kind of lack of Ghost Resist, one which Tricking doesn't have, and kind of lack of Dark Resist, solid Dark Resist. In this case, Tricking only has Tapu Fini. On the other hand, this Volcarona looks extremely dangerous to Eternal Spirit. If it gets a chance to set up, I think if it predicts well with its right move and knocks out Hoopa, or if Hoopa gets damaged, it might be able to KO, because most likely the Volcarona is not carrying Bug Buzz, so it'll have, if it's a Firium set, then it'll have to use its Firium Z to knock out Hoopa, or get prior damage. There we see a CB Zygarde go straight for the extreme speed on the Pheromosa, as Pheromosa simply goes for a U-turn, so that's a really big advantage for Tricking. Holy, they're playing fast. Eternal Spirit sets up Rocks, goes for the EQ to get some chip damage on Tapu Fini, as Tapu Fini simply goes for the Defog. Eternal Spirit he just sets up Rocks and takes a Nature's Madness with his Lando. I think that was a poor play. I think he could have just U-turned straight out to his Gengar, which he probably does now, because Tapu Fini, unless it's offensive, cannot 2 a KO Gengar, and you don't need the health on Gengar, whereas you really appreciate the health on that Lando for that Zygarde, for that meta, for his own Lando. So Gengar can literally just click Shadow Ball and nab a kill right here. I don't know what Tricking wants to sack, but he's definitely going to have to sack something to this Gengar. We do see he just stays in to get the Nature's Madness off, and the Gengar does indeed Shadow Ball, disables that Nature's Madness. Not going to matter because another one will take out the Tapu Fini, and at this point, if you would stay in with Tapu Fini, there's no point switching out now. So when Eternal Spirit sets up those Stealth Rocks are there to stay. That being said, that Volcarona is still a threat. That does assume that it most likely is not carrying Bug Buzz, but that also assumes that it has a Z move that can hit Hoopa, like Firium Z. A lot of Volcaronas have suddenly started to use Psychium Z, and considering that Tricking has the Tapu Lele, he may indeed be using a Psychium Z Volcarona just to build on that wall-breaking potential. So that is most likely a Psychium. I'd guess it's a Psychium Z Volcarona, but we don't know for sure, but it's still a really big threat. But a healthy Hoopa may be able to check it. Pheromosa might also have Giga Impact. We did see that it's most likely Scarf Pheromosa, but for that you still need prior damage on that Volt to knock it out. And because Pheromosa is so low, simply setting up Rocks from Tricking's end would knock out the Pheromosa. Bringing in Lando on a physical move would knock out the Pheromosa. And if Pheromosa goes for Ice Beam on a Lando switch, that gives Volcarona free setup. So it's a really dangerous position for Eternal Spirit thanks to that turn 1 extreme speed, and his team having a slightly worse matchup versus Tricking. Tricking is still thinking about what to do, but I think he's most likely going to leave his Tapu Fini in and just sack it off to this Gengar. I'm not sure what Tricking can go to next. Looking at his team, it's actually kind of slow, so that might actually be a Scarf Tapu Lele. Still slow, still pretty slow, less than base 100, but at least that top Scarf Tapu Lele gives him a source of speed, but he might want to be not wanting to go to that because Hoopa and Metagross and his own Tapu Fini are still around, so I don't know. I'm not sure what Tricking would want to do, because he definitely wouldn't want to Psychic on a Hoopa or a Meta Switch, and he does actually go to Metagross. This Metagross could be Bullet Punch, it could also just be Pursuit. I mean, he's definitely risking a Speed tie if he goes for anything other than Bullet Punch, but seeing how he chose to, he left in his Fini, which meant if it died just Sludge Wave, he was perfectly fine going to Meta right afterwards. So I have a feeling it's Pursuit meta, but he might also just Pursuit plus Bullet Punch is an odd combination, but that might be the case. But he may just Bullet Punch. The thing is, Eternal Spirit doesn't really have a switch in to Metagross. He really doesn't. He needs to keep his own Metagross healthy for his Tapu Lele, and yeah, there's the Pursuit on the Metagross. He needs to keep his own Metagross healthy for the Tapu Lele, and this Lando is weakened by the Nature's Madness. He does actually go to the Lando, so it may be a Yachi Lando, there is the Yachi Berry, and there's a Freeze! Holy moly! That is horrible for Eternal Spirit. That is absolutely horrible. Yeah, that just sucks. Honestly, if I were him, maybe I wouldn't even have gotten up the Rocks. At this point, you're kind of behind from that Metagross. With the poor matchup, I think you need to get the EQ damage on this Metagross so that you can keep your own Metagross around for that Tapu Lele, because that Tapu Lele is looking dangerous if he decides to use Metagross to beat this, and I don't see any other way to beat this Metagross now, and yeah, there's the Metagross. So man, that really sucks for Eternal Spirit. I mean, at worst case, he would have been able to get up rocks, and that would have been really, really nice to lessen the pressure that the Volcarona can exert and allow Eternal Spirit to play more freely. There we see a Pursuit as meta stays in, and another Pursuit from Tricking's meta. So I think they're just going to trade Pursuits. But Tricking is going to be able to get some good chip on. Yeah, he's going to get some like 2-3 Pursuits off on Eternal Spirits, and that's going to really hurt. There we see a crit Pursuit, which means another Pursuit is going to be able to take out Tricking's Metagross. He does win the speed tie though, so he gets off that extra Pursuit anyway. And now this Metagross is in range of Tapu Lele, and things are looking very dangerous because I think Hoopa could possibly be EV'd to live a Moonblast from Tapu Lele, but then that Volcarona becomes really, really a big threat. So, and also the Zygarde is looking quite dangerous now that Lando is at 12% and frozen, which is why I think maybe you should have just kept a healthy Lando. That health on Gengar didn't end up mattering. Oh my god, that freeze absolutely sucked. I'm trying to think how Eternal Spirit can pull this one off, and honestly, he has to pull some magic with that Tapu Fini. He really does. Yeah, he just has to pull some magic with Fini. I don't really know how he's going to do it. Tricking, what can he go to? He could go to Vulcan and try to set up, but I'm not sure if he wants to do that right now. He could go to his Lele, which I am presuming is Scarf. It may not be, but that would be weird. It would be like, yeah, the Lando is rocks, so because you didn't see rocks on meta for some random thing, so it's definitely. I mean, either way, Tricking's team is slow, but probably Scarf Lele. So I think he'll go to that now, and I think Eternal Spirit. I mean, he's probably gonna sack off Lando. Then it depends on what the Tapu Lele. It's gonna click Moonblast, so Eternal Spirit. I don't know what Eternal Spirit could do. I think Tapu Fini is his only answer to Tapu Lele at this point. I'm not sure what Tapu Fini set that is. I mean, defensive would be kind of weird because it's such an offensively based team and Eternal Spirit doesn't need hazard control. So I could very well see it being Calm Mind. Kind of depends on its spread and what that fourth move is. But if it's max speed Tapu Fini, it should be able to outrun Tricking's Zygarde. Presuming it is an adamant Zygarde. Most Zygardes are adamant. This Tricking is on CBB's team, and CBB is a big proponent of positive speed nature, so it could very well be a Jolly Zygarde. But Scooters have also used a ton of adamant Zygarde in the past, so I'm really not sure. But if it's a max speed Calm Mind Tapu Fini, I could see that like working out. I could see that, like, I don't know if he'd be able to do it though, because he's going to take a lot of damage to set up what's his best one to set up on? I'm not really sure, but yeah, that Tapu Fini is going to take a lot of damage to set up. It's going to need at least 2, maybe even 3 Calm Minds to take on Tricking, so maybe at best he can grab 1 or 2 kills with the Tapu Fini, and maybe that'll be enough to put him in a position where he can win. I mean, Hoopa should be faster than Tricking's defensive Lando, so that might help. It depends on his set, though, if it's physical or special. At this point, I am presuming that, well, it has Psyshock if it's special. But, I mean, even then, Volcarona might itself find a way to set up and win the game. We do see Eternal Spirit go to Pheromosa, though. I guess he just wants damage on this Tapu Lele. The thing is, if he U-turns and Lando comes in, this Mosa's gone. But then I guess he might get an opportunity to go to Tapu Fini, and he can potentially Calm Mind and then Surf or Pump. I'm thinking that this is Eternal Spirit has Calm Mind Fini, just because defensive doesn't make any sense on his team. I don't know why you'd put a defensive Tapu Fini on that team. I mean, I guess, nah, it has to be some sort of offensive team. Eternal Spirit's team is way too offensive. But he could just U-turn, I guess, I guess he's just U-turning for the damage. That also helps with Fini, because Fini just isn't strong until it gets boosts. But, even if he I think his best place to U-turn, he can't Ice Beam on the Lando Predict, because that gives Volcarona a setup. Unless he's very, very confident he can just go to Hoopa on the Volk, but he does just Ice Beam, and yeah, Tricking just stays in. He doesn't really lose anything from staying in. He pretty much gets a kill. So we do see that he simply just gets 30% chip on that Fini, on that Lele, and now he goes to Fini. So Tricking probably can't afford to switch. He doesn't really have a switch in anyway, so we're probably just going to see him Moonblast. Yeah, we're probably just gonna see him Moonblast right here. I'm really, again, not completely sure what this Fini is, but at this point the only clear set I see that might be a possibility is Calm Mind. I'm not really sure how bulky it is though. We'll see. We'll see if Eternal Spirit is able to pull us through, but it is looking better for tricking right now. I think that I think even if Eternal Spirit set up rocks on that Metagross, it wasn't going to actually make that big of a difference, because right now it's looking like this Tapu Lele is the biggest threat, and that Metagross is, that Zygarde is also a huge threat. So, maybe just if he just got off an EQ with that Metagross, then that Ice Punch Freeze would have mattered, because then his own Metagross wouldn't have been so weak, and then he would have had a really potent threat versus tricking. Now, he would have to have Ice Punch or something of the sort, or tricking would I mean, tricking probably wouldn't risk going to Zygarde, maybe going to Lando if it's at full health, but... And he'd also, if he doesn't have Zen Headbutt, then Volcarona can set up on it, but a lot of it depends on how tricking wants to risk what the Metagross's coverage is. If the Metagross has perfect coverage, like Meteor Mash, Zen Headbutt, Ice Punch for Suit, then that would be tough on tricking. But, yeah, that Metagross trade was just so good for tricking in his Lele. Tricking is thinking, I mean, what could he switch into? I really don't see what he could switch into, so I think he's just gonna Moonblast. And we will learn what this Tapu Fini is. If it's a Calm Mind Protect set, it's really fast, but also really bulky, kind of like the set that Anti used versus Bengay. I think that would match up really well in this situation, because you get that extra recovery, and that might make the difference between a win or a loss. Also, he has to be very fast, but also bulky. At this point, he doesn't need a lot of power with the Tapu Fini. He just needs maximum speed to outrun that Zygarde, and a lot of bulk to tank hits. But yeah, ooh, that does a ton. And we see a special attack drop, as there is the Calm Mind. That special attack drop is going to be really annoying, though. Yeah, I feel like with a second Calm Mind, he normally would have been able to knock out Lele, but, with that special attack drop, now this Fini is definitely going to be much weaker. I don't really know if it's going to matter in the long run, but that is annoying. That is annoying for Eternal Spirit, and at this point when you're so far behind, you don't really want those little bits of hacks to push away your small chances. Oh, that Moonblast does a ton less, 27%. Didn't see a Protect right there, so either Eternal Spirit doesn't want to Protect on a switch, or he doesn't have it. Most likely Taunt, not Substitute. Substitute's only really good for like Clear Smog and stuff like that, but yeah, does Tapu Fini stay into Moonblast again? Probably not. Now it's doing abysmal damage, but maybe. This Tapu Fini can definitely still get dangerous, though. It really depends, though. If the Zygarde is faster... Well, actually, Zygarde can just E-Speed, because the Psychic Terrain is gone, so... Even if Zygarde is not faster, just simply E-Speeding might make the difference, but I'm not really sure. And I'm not really sure if Tapu Fini... if Tapu Lele can Oko Hoopa, so I don't know if that's a win con, but he does just Moonblast again, and there we see, yeah, that Moonblast would have knocked out normally if he didn't have the special attack drop, I think. Yeah, I think it does. 47, 2/3 of that times 2, 4/3 of 47. Let's just do the calc, but I'm fairly sure that does. What was he at? He was at 69. Let's see. 47 divided by 1.5 times. No, it might not have killed actually. It may have been a low roll though, but if he got the same roll and had one more special attack boost, that still might not have killed. There we see the Moonblast on the Lando doing less than 50, so if he's not Surf, he has to risk a pump right here. There's no really other choice. He Moonblasts, and it doesn't knock out, and he gets knocked out by an EQ. Yeah, that makes no sense. He just threw his only way to win. There's no way you run a Calm Mind Fini without a water move. There's no way, just no way. So if his only move was pump, he had to click pump. There really was no other choice. But I think at this point the game is just lost. It's just lost. But we'll see the Hoopa Gunk Shot, so it is physical. He doesn't want to hyperspace because he doesn't want to drop his defense, but it definitely does not matter at this point. Zygarde just comes in, clicks 1,000 arrows. If it doesn't kill, Tapu Lele comes in, clicks Moonblast twice, and it's over. So that's pretty much the game. Yeah, that's pretty much the game. So it'll be 1-1 after a few more turns for the Scooters versus the Tigers. Wow, that's a clean Oko. Holy crap. That thing dropped so fast. Holy moly. Dang. And he doesn't even have Ice Punch, so yeah, Zygarde cleans up this game. That's the game. Wow. So yeah, I definitely think we saw that the rocks just really would not have made a difference versus tricking. So even with that Ice Punch freeze, I think Eternal Spirit had to have had the foresight to click Earthquake on that Metagross, because that Tapu, yeah. I mean, I honestly think it was just a really crap matchup for Eternal Spirit. I think he definitely should have kept his Lando healthier. Taking that extra, or maybe even just stayed in with his Gengar. Honestly, maybe. I'm not really sure. It's a really tricky position when someone brings in a Metagross on a Gengar, like Speed Ties, man. But, yeah, that's just how the game is. But, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.